I hope the topics that we have discussed till last day are clear to you and you have been improved with your programming skill, problem solving skills, and some level of conceptual knowledge related with Python programming and the data structures. Tried my level best and try to give you the superficial exposure of each kind of data structures and the kind of applications that we can achieve through them, the kind of problems that they are generally used to solve them. So with this knowledge, I am very much confident that you can like start understanding these things in better way. So you can start building your own perceptions towards them and use these perceptions to solve your personal problems when you face while solving any complex problem or doing programming skills. So we have seen data structures like we have seen about linear data structures, we have seen about nonlinear data structures. At the beginning of this data structure modules, we have talked about the various kind of operations that we perform with the data. So we have identified that basically we perform four types of operations like insertion, updation, deletion, and traversing. Or I should repeat in a proper order to traversing, insertion, deletion, and updation. So these are the four major operations that we generally perform with the data, which is stored in the computer memory. And while performing these operations, we discuss about that one operations that we always perform, that what we call the searching. So if you want to insert a new element, you need to search the location where you want to insert that. If you want to update an element, you need to search that element first, and then you can carry out this updation operations over it. If you want to like delete an element, then again you need to search that element in the memory, and then you can apply the delete operations on that. Continue with our discussion. So I was saying that whether you go to perform any of the operation, whether it is an insertion or deletion or it is an updation, the one essential operations that you always need to carry, this is the searching. And while searching an item, if you arrange those items in some way, in some kind of patterns where you sort those items in either ascending or descending order, the searching becomes easy. So in data structure, while studying data structures, we also study two popular techniques that we generally play with the data. What we call a searching of an element in an existing data, or arranging that data in some kind of patterns. That patterns can be either ascending order or descending order. So today our discussion will mainly focus on the two popular problems that we deal with data, what we call a searching and the sorting. And with this discussion, I'm picking the two popular techniques that we have in case of searching, and the two popular techniques in which we will look for the sorting techniques. We know, and I know that there are more techniques of sorting and there are more techniques of searching, but I am only focusing these two for the searching and two for the sorting, and I leave rest of them so you can once you get an understanding, and I am pretty much confident that once you start reading others, you will be in more comfortable positions to understand them and drive your own perceptions over. So let's start. So what is the searching? So as you can see in this particular pic, searching is a kind of process of finding something which exists in one particular place. This is a normal phenomenon where we look for the searching, and if we take it to in the field of computers, then we can say that searching refers to the process of finding location of an element in a data structure. Here I have written the data structure because data structure is way of organizing of a data. So if you have organized the data in some way, and out of this organization, if I ask you to find one particular item, then you need to carry out one operations that what we call a searching. So for me, searching is a process in which we try to find out an existing element within a data or a data structure. Now, this is the second sentence we have already discussed. Like searching is considered to be an essential part of data structure algorithm. So we have seen many data structure algorithms in which we try to insert new element, delete new element, update new element. So in every case or in every operation, we have to perform one essential operation or one essential process. That is what we call a searching. So searching is one of the essential kind of problems that drives the solution of other problems. And when we talk about the kind of searching that we can have, like we have two types of popular searching methods, what we call linear search and binary search. And we will see that how we can implement linear search, how we can implement binary search, and how they are different from one another. What are the advantage of linear search? What are the disadvantages of linear search? What are the advantage of binary search? And similarly, what are the advantage of disadvantage of binary search? So first look for the linear search. So linear search is also known as a sequential search. So let's suppose you have a linear data structure with you. So remember, the linear search is always be possible in some kind of linear data structure. And when we talk about linear data structures, the two things came in our mind: array and linked list. It means that we are organizing our data in form of some list or in form of some array. So when we talk about that, we are going to perform a linear search, we are going to perform it over linear data structure either on array or on list. So this is a very simple kind of search mechanism, or this is a naive-based approach that we generally carried out while searching an item, especially in our zone. So what we do, we look for the items. They can be arranged in some sequential patterns, and we start from any one end and start comparing the every element of the list with the item that to be searched. So here I am taking two parameters with this function. As you can see, one is what we call a list. So this list can be an array or this list can be a linked list. So you can consider this list to be a series of items or series of elements of series of values. Now, out of this series of values, one item that you need to be searched is termed as a key. So this particular function or the search procedure is taking actually the two arguments, the list and the key. And our job is to find that key into that list. If that list is present in the key, we simply return the location, means at what place that particular item is located on this list. So if that particular item is present in the list, we will return the position of that item. And if that item is not present in the list, we will return a -1. That indicates that the item is not present in the list. So when we go to find any item in the given set of data, there would be two possibilities. One, either the data is present in the list or the item is not present in the list. So if we hit the first probability where the item is present in the list, so what you can do, you can simply return the position of that item. So like we know that these items are arranged in some sequential manner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, likewise. You can assign the name of the location to each item, and let's suppose the key value is present on the fifth location. So we can simply return 5. This 5 is not the item, rather it is the location of that item which is present in that list. So if the item is present in the list or you hit the first possibility where the item is already in the list, then we return the position of that item. But if the item is not in the list, that means we cannot return any valid index. And we know that indexing is started from 0 and it goes to the n-1. So we simply return an invalid index, especially in the field of array, and that is for -1. So this -1 is indicating basically the index or the situations when you do not find item in your list. So this is a simple procedure, a naive-based approach that we apply to find out a linear search. This is a simple example where we actually looked at how the linear searches work. So let's suppose we have been given with a list of some set of integer numbers. The numbers are 6, 4, 1, 9, 7, 3, 2, 8. And this is the list that I'm carrying out, and I'm interested to find out. So like coming back to our main discussion where we were discussing about how linear search basically works. So as I said that we need two things. One, we need a list of elements, list of items. And here we have a list of integer numbers. So you can see we have one list that comprises with some set of integer numbers like 6, 4, 1, 9, 7, 3, 2, 8. And in this list, we have to find out an item number 3. So we need to find out, we need to search out that whether 3 is present in this list or not. If it is present, then we will return the position of 3. If it is not present, then we will return -1. So like our job is to find out whether 3 is present in our list or not. So as we have discussed that what is the procedure of linear search. So what you do, you start from any corner. So let's suppose we are starting from left to right, and we take the very first element. So we traverse our list and compare each element with the searched item. So this 3 is going to be my key. So this 3 is going to be my key, and this set of elements are going to be my list. So what I'm going to do is I'm starting to traverse my list from one end, and I'm starting from left. So I'm starting from 0th index. So this is going to be 0th index. This is going to be the first index number, second index number, third index number, 4th, 5, 6, and 7. So first I will pick the 0th index number and compare it with the key. If it is matched, we will return the index position. If it does not, we will like increment with our pointer. So in this very first pass, it is pointing to the 0th index. In next pass, it is starting to point the next index, which is at the 1. So it will compare 3 with 4 because it is not also true. So it will further advance your index, so it moves towards the second index parameter. Now it will compare 3 with 1. And as you can clearly see that 3 is not equal to 1, so it further advances its pointer and goes into 3. Now it will compare 3 with 9, then it will compare 3 with 7, and because 3 is also not equal to 7, so it's further actually advanced its index positions to index position 5, and now this index 5 is actually containing the value 3. So when you compare them, so you got a match. When you got a match, you can clearly see this is seen by a green color. So what you do, you will return the index position of this. So the index position of this is basically 5, but the location is 6. So what we try to do, we will add 1 in the index and return the location of this item to the user. So basically in our system, we generally start numbering from 1, but in computer programming, the numbering is started from 0. So that's why we are adding here 1. That is the location of that particular number in the list. So this is a simple procedure that we carried out in linear list. Now, when we talk about this linear list, it is clearly that is clearly shown by that. So let's suppose if the one particular comparison operation takes 1 millisecond, let's suppose. So what I was saying, let's suppose the one comparison of operation is taking 1 millisecond, and let's suppose, as you can see, this particular list here. So this particular list comprises with 8 set of elements. So the maximum time that the algorithm will run is at most 8 milliseconds if we discard all other overhead associated with this procedure. So why we call it linearly? Let me tell you. So if your input size with the list size is 8, that algorithm will take like 8 milliseconds. If your input size, if I increase it to 80, now your algorithm will take at most 80 milliseconds to return the results. Or if your input size goes to, let's suppose, 800, your algorithm will at most take 800 milliseconds to return the results. So that's how if you consider the time taken by the algorithm, so here if I take the input size n, and here if I take like the time taken by the algorithm to return the result. So in case of 1, it is taking 1. In case of 2, it is taking 2. In case of 8, it is taking 8. In case of 80, it is taking 80. In case of 800, it is taking 800. So likewise, you guys get a equation of line basically, where this line can be termed as time is, where this is y and this is x. So this particular line has the equation y equal to x. That is clearly you can see. So if I replace x with n, so or y with time, so this particular line is also written as time is equals to the n. Now this is the at most time that the algorithm will take. At most time means that if the item is not present, then it has to go for all the number of elements and return the result. But if item is presented, then maybe it will return the result with lesser time. So like let's suppose if the item is at this location, as you can see in this situation, so the result can be written in 6 milliseconds. But still we are considering to have 8 milliseconds. So what we look for the upper bound or the maximum time taken by the algorithm. This is the worst case scenario that we can have. Like, so if the worst case scenario of the search is that the item is not in the list. So in that case, how much time this algorithm will take to fetch the result is what we call an upper bound or at most time. So this generally represented by a notation what we call a big O, and that's how we express the time complexity of an algorithm. So we say that the linear search algorithm having a time complexity of big O of n, and now here the n is basically the input size of the list. So basically the number of elements present in the list. That's completely understandable that if you increase with the number of elements, the time taken by the algorithm will also be increases. And as we can see this, the power of n is 1. So we call it as a linear, and that's why it got its name to be called as a linear search. And so it is not like it is having a linear session. It is got its name because of its time complexity. So when we execute or when we calculate the time complexity of this algorithm to find out the result, that comes in the linear order terms of the input size, and that's why we call it the linear search. So I hope the procedure is clear. It's not rocket science. It's a very simple thing. Now let's talk about like other approach. That's what we call binary search. So binary search comes with a different kind of philosophy. So in the binary search, so we have in the linear search we have some set of elements, and they can be arranged in any order. So we are not talking about orders. They can be in shuffled order. As you can see, we have 6, 4, 1, 9, 7, 3, 2, and where 4 comes after 6 and 1 comes after 4, but suddenly 9 comes after 1. So you don't find any kind of patterns like whether these elements are either arranged in ascending order or in descending order. Generally, we call them a sorted order. But if we can sort them, like, so what we can get if you really can sort those items. So like, let's suppose instead of arranging those items in some random way, if I arrange them in sorted way, so what I can achieve with this technique is what is the essence of binary search. So first we need to look the prerequisite. So as you can see, the prerequisite of binary search is like input should be a sorted list. So here, this is the pre-requirement of binary search algorithm. So whenever the list we are giving to the function of binary search, we assume that the list should be a sorted list. And let's suppose if you have a sorted list, so certainly it comes with a kind of patterns where you find that items are either arranged in ascending order or they are arranged in some kind of descending order. So like you find a patterns where you can say we are either having an increasing order pattern or a decreasing order pattern. So in this case, it is clearly shown that this is a decreasing order pattern, or we can say that the items are arranged in descending order. So like, because 9 is the maximum or the largest element of the list, so it comes first, then after 7, then after 6, then 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. And the largest element of the list is at the last location of this list, as you can see. Now, what we can get with this, we can generate a new kind of patterns of finding if you have this sorted list. And how we can do this is like, let's suppose this time we are interested to find out 3 again, or let's suppose 6 again. Okay, sorry. So our key parameter is 6. So in the case of linear search, we either start from left hand or the right hand, and then we traverse one by one. But instead of starting from one end, binary search tells us to start from the middle of the list. And how we can calculate the middle? So let's suppose you have this index parameter 0, this parameter, this index parameter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this automatically becomes 6. So very easy, with one mathematical expression, we can collect the middle index, which is equal to the lower index and the higher index divided by 2. So in this case, if you see, like the lower index is 0, higher index is 6, and when you divide it by 2, you get 3. So 3 is become your point of middle. So now what you do, you basically do not start from the left hand or on the right hand. Rather, you directly jump on the middle, and the middle index can easily be calculated if you are arranging these items in array. Obviously, when you implement through linked list, it is little bit hard because that is not arranged with an index pattern where you need to count the number of elements and then you chop it down. So here, this has become my element which I will use for the comparison. So I will compare 6 with 4. So when I go to comparison, actually नो हम फ्लोर डिवीजन के बारे में बात करते हैं. अगर आपकी वैल्यू 7 है, मान के चलो, तो ये अगर हम 7/2 करेंगे, तो दैट इज वी कॉल बाय फ्लोर डिवीजन. सो स्टिल यू गेट 3. So either you buy 6/2 or you do by 7/2. In both the cases, you get the index 30. So let's come back to the discussion. So now you got the location where you make the comparison. So we are making a comparison of middle value with the key value. So the key value is 6 and the middle value is the 4. So when we go to make a comparison, there will be 3 possibilities. There would be 3 possibilities that can happen in the search. The very first and lucky probability is that the element gets matched. So if you are lucky enough, what you can do, your element is directly matched with the middle element of your list. So what you can do, you can directly return the index of this particular element, or I would say that you can return the success. So what you can do, you can return a success if your element gets matched with your search item. And second probability is that, let's suppose the search item is the smaller than the middle value. So what we are saying that the search item is the 6 is smaller than the middle. So when we say this is smaller than the middle, so what you can assume with this? So basically, the search should be processed in this direction. Oh, sorry. The middle index is greater than of this. So you certainly go to this direction because the items will be found on other side. So if this is in descending order, then you will move on this direction, right side. So this is the very first, second possibility that you can have when we say the key value that we are searching is less than 2, the middle index value. If that's so, then we will look to the part where it has the smaller set of values. So here we have a smaller set of values, so we will look on this particular part. If we got another case where your middle value is smaller than your key value, then we will look on the second half of the list. And while doing this, what we do, we discard the second half completely. So if we are considering this up, we can ignore these set of elements. And we only focus our discussion to these three elements. So as you can see, I'm getting a situation where the middle value is less than of 6. So automatically I move to the left side of this list as it is arranged in descending order. And now I only focus my search on these three elements. Now when I focus on these three elements, I carry out the same procedures. I look for the middle parameters, which is the 7. I make the same comparison, and accordingly I make the choice whether I have written success or I move to the left or I move to the right. So here the 7 is greater than 6, so I move to the right and I come here. On a very next page, I got my match. If I do not get my match or my left is become greater than higher, then we can say the search was unsuccessful and the item is not present in the list. So this is a simple procedure, and in this simple procedure, what you can learn that if you start your search procedure with n set of elements, so in every pass you are dividing these n into half. So like on every page, what you do, you divide this list into two parts as we are doing here. So we are neglecting this part here. Now we are neglecting this part here, only focusing this section. So in every page, what we do in every pass, we divide our list into exact half. So that's how actually we got our recursive nature or the tree kind of diagram. And when we say the height of the binary tree that has the n element and that reach to the leaf which contains only one element, you will know that the height of this tree is actually defined by log base 2 of n. So this is how we can drive the time complexity of the binary search that will give the result within log n time. And if we try to understand it with some numerical value, so let's suppose as we have seen with the linear search, in the linear search, if you have like 100 number of element in your list, it was at most taking 100 milliseconds to return the result. But when you take a binary search, we start with 100. Now next step, these 100 will be divided into 50. In the next step, these 50 is again divided into 25. Then these 25 again divided into, let's suppose 13. I'm taking the higher side. Again divided into, let's suppose 7, then 4, then 2, and then 1. So the total number of iterations which will be required to get the result is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this particular algorithm will going to return a result in 8 milliseconds, whereas the linear search was returning the result in 100 milliseconds. And this is a very big improvement over the search result. But remember, this kind of improvement comes with a overheaded cost associated with shorting the list. So if you short the list, then so in the beginning of discussion मैंने आपसे बोला था कि सर्चिंग को सिंप्लीफाई करने के लिए हमें शॉर्टिंग करना पड़ती है. तो अब आप समझ सकते हैं कि हमें शॉर्टिंग की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी. तो अगर हम अपने डेटा को शॉर्टेड फॉर्म में अरेंज करेंगे तो आपकी सर्चिंग बहुत एफिशिएंट हो जाएगी. और आप देख पा रहे हैं कि हम 100 मिलीसेकंड से कहां पे आ गए, 8 मिलीसेकंड पे आ गए. तो अगर आप रैंडम ऑर्डर में डेटा को अरेंज करेंगे तो केवल लीनियर सर्च पॉसिबल है. और लीनियर सर्च में हमारी जो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी आती है वो 100 मतलब लीनियर टर्म में आती है, बिग ऑफ एन में आती है. लेकिन अगर हम उसी डेटा को शॉर्टेड फॉर्म में अरेंज कर दें, यहाँ पर आप ये देख पाए कि डेटा इज अरेंज आइदर इन असेंडिंग ऑर्डर और इन डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर, then we can achieve a very higher level of accuracy with like set of elements that we are dealing with. And so that's why we need shorting also. So I hope this binary search is clear. And when we talk about the code or the pseudo codes that we look for the binary search, so like we need a list. Let's suppose that list is named as A. We need its low index, we need its higher index, and we need the item to be searched. So these 4 arguments is required for the binary search procedure. Now first we will check whether the low is greater than high or not. If it happens, that means the item is not in the list, and we will return -1 as we were talking about. The -1 indicates that item is not present in the list. If this condition is not true, means if the low is not greater than high, or we say that L is still less than high, which means that there are more than one element present in your list. So still there is a possibility to find out your item. So first we will calculate the mid position by calculating low plus high by 2. And remember, this is going to be your floor division. So in Python, we use double slash to calculate the floor division. but this is a pseudo code, so I have written in a simple language. But in Python, when you implement, use this double code. And then what you do, we look for three possibilities. The first possibility is like, if your mid element is equivalent to the search item, then you return the mid index. If this mid index is not like equal to the key, then you look for the another possibility where you see whether this item is greater than the mid element or not. If this item is greater than the mid element, then we search in the half part of the list. If this condition is not true, certainly the other part will be true where we say that a mid is greater than the key. Then we will look the second half part of the list. So that's how we can make a recursive call of this. So this is a recursive call. This is your main function, and here we are making a recursive call of this. So this is a recursive version of binary search, where we can achieve the binary search paradigm to find out an item in a given list. I hope this is clear. Okay, तो एक बार और सुन लो जल्दी से. तो रिक्वायरमेंट जो है बाइनरी सर्च की वो ये है कि इसको एक शॉर्टेड लिस्ट चाहिए. तो आइटम हमेशा शॉर्टेड लिस्ट में ही दिए जाएंगे आपको. जो इनपुट जो भी हम देंगे, मतलब ये जो लिस्ट हम दे रहे हैं ये हमेशा शॉर्टेड लिस्ट होनी चाहिए. और जो ट्रिक है वो ये है कि इंस्टेड ऑफ ट्रैवर्सिंग अ लिस्ट फ्रॉम वन एंड, you directly jump on the middle by calculating this low plus high by 2. This will give you the index of the middle element and look for whether it is equal to the key item or not, and it has three possibilities. या तो ये जो मिड पोजीशन का इंडेक्स है वो आपके आइटम के बराबर है, अगर नहीं है तो उससे छोटा होगा तो हम इस बार हिस्से में ट्रेवर्स करें, क्योंकि सारे छोटे आइटम्स अगर असेंडिंग ऑर्डर में है तो इस हिस्से में होंगे. अगर बड़ा है तो हम इस हिस्से में ढूंढें, क्योंकि सारे बड़े आइटम इस हिस्से में होने वाले हैं. बस इस लॉजिक के साथ हम इसको बढ़ते चले जाते हैं. -1 हम इसलिए यूज कर रहे हैं बेटा क्योंकि हमें एक नोटेशन चाहिए दैट टेल्स अबाउट द अनसक्सेसफुल सर्च. तो बेसिकली यहाँ हम एक अनसक्सेसफुल सर्च के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. ये यहाँ से जो भी रिटर्न होगा ये फंक्शन हम कॉल करेंगे, तो यहाँ से या तो लाइक आप ये मान के चलो कि मिड रिटर्न होगा, उसमें आप +1 कर दें. ओके, जो भी वैल्यू रिटर्न हो रही है ऑटोमेटिकली आपको लोकेशन मिल जाएगी. तो दिस इज अबाउट बाइनरी सर्च. एंड नाउ विद द डिस्कशन ऑफ बाइनरी सर्च, वन थिंग इज क्लियर, that we need a shorted data to make searching efficient. So let's talk about some searching techniques. And this is a small comparison. This already been done. You can keep it. Does not require shorted list. It requires shorted list. This is less efficient, as we have seen. For 100 elements, it requires 100 milliseconds. For 100 elements, it requires only 8 seconds. So we call it as more efficient. Now the implementation of linear search is very simple, but binary search is a little bit complex. It is implemented through some iterative pattern or some recursive pattern. And that can sort both one-dimensional and multi-dimensional array, but this is only achievable on one-dimensional array can be sorted. We cannot grow it for multi-dimensional because the calculation of index really become problematic things, and we cannot drive it by some mathematical relation. So that's not applicable there. And let's look one of the popular data structures which automatically adjust your elements, and this we call a binary search tree. तो जैसा कि हमने बोला था कि डेटा स्ट्रक्चर आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन देते हैं आपकी सर्चिंग प्रोसीजर को मेंटेन करने के लिए. उसी क्रम में जो कल हमने जो ट्री डेटा स्ट्रक्चर देखा था, उसी फॉर्म में एक और डेटा स्ट्रक्चर होता है जिसको हम बाइनरी सर्च ट्री ही बोलते हैं. तो बाइनरी सर्च ट्री का फिलॉसफी ये है कि जो भी एलिमेंट इसमें इंसर्ट होंगे वो हमेशा BST के फॉर्म में ही होंगे. BST के फॉर्म में होंगे मतलब कि वो ऑटोमेटिकली जो बाइनरी सर्च की प्रॉपर्टी है उसको फॉलो कर रहे होंगे. यानी कि अगर मैं रूट से स्टार्ट करूं तो फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर ट्री दिस रूट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी ए मिडिल एलिमेंट. अगर मैं लेफ्ट, नोड और राइट एक इन ऑर्डर ट्रैवर्सल की बात करूं तो रूट जो होगा वो मिडिल एलिमेंट बन जाएगा हर एक जगह. तो हमारा जो परसेप्शन निकला वो ये निकला कि रूट के लेफ्ट ट्री में जो होगी, लेफ्ट सब ट्री में होगी, वो सारे एलिमेंट रूट से छोटे होना चाहिए, दैट यू कैन सी, या उसके बराबर होना चाहिए. तो हम क्या कह सकते हैं, लेफ्ट सब ट्री कैन बी इक्वल टू द नोड और लेस देन टू बी नोड, बट द राइट ट्री इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी द greater than of the node. So yes, this particular tree you can observe one thing. The nodes which are having the lesser value of the root node 8 are on the left side, and the nodes which are having the higher value on the node are on the right side. So this kind of data structure we generally call a binary search tree. And now once you organize your data with BST, so the binary search tree, like the binary search algorithm that we have studied, is become more efficient because the input of the binary search was to have the sorted data. This one. Now, once you organize your data through BST, what you need to do, you really do not need to sort that data because this tree automatically organized in such a way so the search procedure becomes feasible. For example, if I want to search for 6 in this tree, So how do I start? So first I will make the comparison with the root node. So I will make the comparison of 6 with the root node. Now you clearly see 6 is less than 8. So next time I will go on the left side of this tree, because all the nodes which are lesser than 8 will definitely lie on the left subtree. So I will discard this right part and only consider the left part of this tree. Now next time I will make another comparison with the next root, and this time I'm making comparison with like 3. So you see 3 is less than of 6, or I should say that 6 is greater than 3. So this time I will discard the left part and move towards right part of this tree. So in every phase, again, we are dividing some kind of element, and we are achieving, if this is a complete binary tree, and we can achieve this log n level of complexity in the searching of data in BST. So here you get the match, and once you got the match, you can return the success also. So that's how you can like compute the binary search using a data structure, what we call binary search tree. And now let's talk about, so we know that sorting makes searching efficient. So what is the sorting? So sorting is nothing but a process of arranging items in some way, and this way can be like in ascending order or in descending order. Like in this particular diagrams, you can see these items are arranged in descending order. First we have 4, then we have 3, then we have 2, then we have 1, then we have another one. So these items are having some kind of logical arrangement, and where these items are arranged in descending order. If all the parents are less than to the root node, then you get a tree like this. You will not get the right part, and in this case, the complexity will very much similar to the complexity of linear search. But this is not the real cases. You always find the binary search tree which has both children equally. It has the left child as well as the right child. And in sorting, we know that there are many algorithms for sorting based on the different perceptions that we look for this particular problem. But we will discuss only two, what we call insertion sort and the quick sort. For me, these are the two most efficient sorting algorithms. That's why I'm discussing. And these two algorithms comes with two different perceptions, and they have different level of complexity while arranging those elements in the list. So if we talk about the various sorting algorithms, you should not limit your discussions to what I'm showing here. Like I have shown only 6 sorting algorithms, but there are many. The number goes to more than 10 also. Like we have Radix sort, and like we have like selection is already there, merge is already there, insertion is already there, quick is already there, and there is what we call randomized sort. So there are different sorting algorithms exist in the literature of data structures and the field of computer science. A few of them I've shown here, and we are going to discuss 2 out of these 6. One is insertion sort, and second is quick sort. These are the 2 popular ones, and these are my favorites. So let's talk about what is insertion sort. So those who play cards, they can understand concept of insertion sort is in pretty much easy forward way. Like if you are a right-hander, so you always try to put your cards in your left hand, and you pick the card from deck from right hand and start inserting into the left hand card. If you are a left-hander, so what you do, you put your card onto the right hand and you pick the card from left hand and you insert them. So what do you generally do? So if you can observe this particular image, you can understand that how basically the sorting happens. So those who are expert in card playing, they know that how to arrange cards. And general trend is to arrange cards is like always put them in some sorted manner. So like what we would like to have these cards to be sorted in our hand also. So like in there you can see, so we have different suits, and in each suits we have different cards. Like we have like cards from 2 to 10. Then we have some picture cards like Jack, Queen, King, and we also have Ace. So every suit is going to have 13 cards, and these cards can be arranged. So generally the arrangement is started from 2, and we take it to the Ace in ascending order. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. So this is the kind of suit we generally have. Now, if you are placing the card into your left hand, so what you do, all the cards on the deck, you pick one card, you place it on hand, because you are considering only one element that is already sorted. Now you pick another card, and you try to insert it at the correct place. So you compare it with the existing card, and if it is smaller than, then you place on. After that, if you are like before that, and if the card is greater than, then you place it after that. So similarly, let's suppose you have picked 4 cards previously, and the cards were like 2, 4, 5, and 10. You got an arrangement where you have sorted them in already, like, so first you have 2, then you have 4, then you have 5, and this is the 10th one. The small thing that you can see, this is the 10th one card. So you can see. Now I go to pick the next card on the deck, and I pick it is strength of 7. So when I go for the insertion, actually I start making comparison from the right side of the cards, because I know these are already in sorted way. So I start to making the comparison from the right side. If it is a smaller one, then I can place my card right after this. If it is a greater than one, then I can make a small swap and make the comparison to a very next card. And if it is also a greater one, then I make another swap, and then I make the comparison with the next one. So that's how like I got a very small number of comparisons while inserting those cards. And this is the philosophy of insertion sort algorithm. So like here in this case, the example which I am showing on your screen, you can see I have 4 cards already in my hand. These cards were 2, 4, 5, and 10. And the next card which I picked is the 7. So I make the comparison of 7 with the 10, and as 7 is smaller than 10, so I make a swap with card number 10, and I look for the next card to make a comparison. And the next card which I will find is the 5, which is the smaller than. So I will insert that card between 5 and 10 in between. And this is what we call an insertion algorithm. Now, when you look for the pseudocode, that's a very, very simple one. As you can see, the single card is already a shorted card. So we start our algorithm from j equal to 2, means from second location. And for the last means the total number of cards that we need to sort it. We need to traverse them one by one. So first we will pick the next card, make that card as a key, as you can see in this particular pseudocode. So we pick that particular card, make that as a key. And now we try to find out the right location of that card where we can insert that. So currently we are pointing the location J, which is the second location. And so what you do, you start making a comparison with one less location, because we are traversing from right to left. We are making an ascending arrangement. So we look for this comparison until two things, until the whole index being exhausted, or you find the location, or like what you say, until the key, the item that you are finding is smaller than the existing item of this. If it is smaller than, what you do, you start swapping them one by one. So this is what we call a swapping. We are advancing the index of each element, like we are putting ai plus 1, means we are placing the element which of highest index to I plus 1, and then we are decreasing the index. Once this loop is completed, which means that any of the one condition is become false. Either you have reached I equal to 0th location, or you have find an item which is less than your key, the inserted item. That means you have find the index position. On this index position, now you can insert that particular item by placing in the advanced index here. So this is a simple approach that we apply in insertion sort. Now, when we talk about the time complexity of this particular algorithm, so as you can see, we are working with 2 loops in this. Here, this particular loop goes for n times if your list have n number of elements. Now here also, the at most cases, this particular loop runs for n times. So when we have a nested loop, where the inner loop runs for exactly the same number of iterations. So the time complexity of this particular algorithm is basically termed as O of n star. So maximum time taken by this algorithm is in quadratic order, or you can say it is of O of n star. Now, but this particular algorithm has a pretty much characteristic that if you give an already sorted list for the sorting, that is what we call a best case of a problem. So in that case, this particular loop will only run for once, because every time this particular condition becomes false. So this loop runs for every time, and this overall time complexity is converted into a linear time complexity. So when we look for a particular problem, we generally look for 3 cases, what we call best case, worst case, and average case. Worst case is like if you are doing searching, so you do not find item. If you are doing sorting, so you have been given with completely reverse list. So like you have an descending order list, and you have been asked to sort them in ascending order. This is the worst case. Best case is like the item that you are searching is the very first item that you got. This is the best case. In case of sorting, मैंने आपको already sorted list दे रखी है जिसको आपको sort करना है. तो जब आप sorted list को sort करोगे, तो this is the best case. Average case is the any case in between that. Means like some kind of random order exists in the list in case of sorting, or the item is not the very first item in the case of searching. So we generally look for the problem with 3 cases. So best case, this particular algorithm gives the linear time complexity, means that can be achieved with single iteration of all the items. Whereas the bubble sort or the selection sort, in all these 3 cases, they goes to the quadratic order. That's why this is my favorite one. This is the simplest one approach also. And now let's talk about the working. So I think this is clear. I have made everything clear by this example. And let's talk about the quick shot. So quick shot is come up with a different philosophy. So you all guys studied in college, and after submission of your answer sheet, you have seen that how your instructor is arranging them in some order. So based on your enrollment, we have been asked to arrange your copies. Like, so we have some patterns like either in ascending order or in descending order. So we arrange them. And how we can do that? So we simply randomly pick one copy, and we always want to arrange those copies in a way that all the copies which are above to that copies must be lesser, comes with a lesser enrollment, or all the copies which comes after that copy comes with a greater enrollment number. Or the same pattern, you can see that if I ask some student to arrange in some lines, so any one of them can assess his own position. So like this particular person has assessed this position, and it directly go to that particular position and stand up. And it leave out others, means it really do not care like others and their positions, but it only looks at what is my height, and as per my height my number should be the third number. So like you see on the left side, these two items are completely disarranged, means this particular person has a higher height than this, so we can say these are not arranged, and here also we can say these two are not arranged. But if we look for this particular person, he is at its right position, and this is the simple philosophy of the quick shot. So what you do, you pick a one particular item and try to place it on its correct position, and that you do recursively one by one with every element, and finally you see all the item will get sorted. So when you drive this particular philosophy in the problem solving paradigm, what you need to know, you need to find out the position of a one particular item. Now this comes with a certain terminology. So if I say like I have this list 0. So what I just said that we do this for one by one. So I pick very first element. I can pick the element from here. I can pick from the rear end. I can pick from the front end, or I can pick from in between also. That does not matter. Let's focus. So this particular element which I'm picking, we generally call this element as a pivot element. And now what we have to do, we have to place this pivot element to its correct position and leave other element as it is. We really do not care whether these elements are in sorted manner or not. So what we need to do, we need to find out the correct location of this 2, and then we will insert that 2 at that particular place. So this is a simple pseudo code that we use for the quick shot. This is the list. This is the starting index. This is the end index. So this P and R, you can say the lower index, or R, you can say the higher index. Now you have to repeat this process until this lower index is less than to the higher index, and once they are become equal, so you will left with only one element. When you have the situations, the list is already sorted. So if this condition is true, then we go ahead and we call another procedure, what we call a partition, which basically partition this list. So when we say the partition, so you will get a new partition of this list, because you are going to fix this element 2 into its right position. So maybe you have inserted it somewhere here, and while inserting, what is expected that all the items which are lesser than of this 2 are on the left side. So maybe you find the situation like where you have 0 and 1, and all the items which are on the other side, maybe you find the situation like this. So now once this particular item is being shifted to its correct position, we can partition this list and come up with 2 set of sublists. Now these 2 sublists are arranged again, not arranged, or they are in some random order. So we can call the same procedure on these 2 lists also. So let's move ahead. First, we try to find out the partition that will give you the location of this particular element. So how we can do that? So personally, we will follow these 3 parameters as it is in the partition, as you can see. Now we select any one parameter. So here we are selecting like the very first parameter, last parameter as a pivot. So that means we are making phi as a pivot element. We are keeping it in a variable x, and now we are starting our index from this lower index one ahead lower. So lower was p. Now we have initialized with p minus 1, so we are starting to make comparison from here, and then we are making j from here. So we need 2 pointers which tracks the lower element and the higher element, and we advance these indexes as per the conditions that we match. And every time if we make this comparison where this aj, the element which is less than of the key element, then we will make the swap. We will exchange them. Otherwise, we will exchange finally to get it to the right location, which is the ith plus 1, and we return the index. So finally, this particular procedure return the index position on which we are creating the partition. Once you got this index, we can call this quick short with the new index value. So the left part can be called with the index written one lower. So this becomes the higher. So let's suppose if it is as written 2, so the next part will be called by the index 0 and 1. As you can see, A, P was 0, Q was 2, so it becomes 0, 2 minus 1 is 1. And the next part of the quick short is called by 3 and the higher index, so Q plus 1 and R. So this is the working of quick short. चलिए फिर से समझ लीजिए इसको कि ये कैसे काम कर रही है. Let me clean this. So you have been given with a list. I think philosophy is clear. By taking any one of the element, we call it element as a pivot element. So most of the literature, you see this particular X, you can call it as a pivot, and the job is to place this pivot element in its correct location. इसको इसकी सही जगह पे भेजना ये हमारा काम. So what is expected is like सबसे पहले हमने एक फंक्शन कॉल किया जिसके अंदर हमने लिस्ट दिया, उसका लोअर इंडेक्स दिया, उसका हायर इंडेक्स दिया. इस पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन को हम तब तक कॉल करेंगे जब तक कि लोअर इंडेक्स जो है वो हायर इंडेक्स से छोटा रहेगा, क्योंकि हम सब जगह जाने वाले. तो हम एक प्रोसीजर कॉल कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, पार्टीशन प्रोसीजर, जो वो पोजीशन देगा जिस पोजीशन पे हमें उस पाइवट एलिमेंट को शिफ्ट करना है, और उसी पोजीशन पे हम अपनी लिस्ट के 2 टुकड़े कर देंगे ताकि हम रिकर्सिव कॉल कर सकें वापस से उस क्विक शॉर्ट के. ये कैसे काम कर रहा है ये सोचिए. तो सबसे पहले हमने किसी एक एलिमेंट को पाइवट बना दिया. मान के चलो हमने लास्ट एलिमेंट को पाइवट एलिमेंट बना दिया. दिस इज द लास्ट एलिमेंट दैट वी आर मेकिंग पाइवट एलिमेंट, एंड देन we are making the 2 indexes I, which is 1 less than of the lower index, and the j. और अब हमने j से लूप करना स्टार्ट किया 1 by 1. तो सबसे पहले हमने देखा कि अगर aj की वैल्यू लेस देन ऑफ पाइवट है, तो अगर यहाँ की वैल्यू लेस देन ऑफ पाइवट है तो हमने j को एडवांस कर दिया. नथिंग, वी आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग, वी सिंपली एडवांस इट. व्हाट वी आर डूइंग हियर, वी आर कंपेयरिंग दिस aj विथ लाइक x. तो हमने क्या किया, i को एडवांस कर दिया, i को आगे ले आए हम. ओके और फिर हमने ai और aj को एक्सचेंज कर दिया. तो यहाँ i लोकेशन पे जो पैरामीटर था और j लोकेशन पे था, इनको हमने आपस में एक्सचेंज कर दिया. फिर हम वापस गए, j की वैल्यू एडवांस हो गई. जब तक ये कंडीशन मैच करती रहेगी हम i j को एक्सचेंज करते रहेंगे, और जब अगर कंडीशन मैच नहीं करेगी तो हम केवल केवल j को एडवांस करेंगे, क्योंकि ये लूप जो है वो j के लिए चल रहा है. केवल j एडवांस होता चला जाएगा. जब ये लूप खत्म हो जाएगा तो आप देखेंगे कि जो लोअर एलिमेंट है वो एक तरफ चले गए और हायर एलिमेंट जो है वो दूसरी तरफ चले गए, विदाउट लुकिंग फॉर द ऑर्डर. एंड नाउ आफ्टर व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन सिंपली इंसर्ट दिस पाइवट एलिमेंट इनटू दैट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन वेयर यू गॉट. जो छोटे एलिमेंट हैं वो उसके लेफ्ट साइड रहेंगे और जो बड़े एलिमेंट हैं वो उसके राइट साइड रहेंगे. बस इसी पोजीशन को हमें वापस भेजना है. दिस इज द रिटर्न ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स, जो कि क्यू बन जाएगा, और हम इससे नए क्विक शॉर्ट फंक्शंस को कॉल कर सकते हैं विद दीज न्यू इंडेक्सेस, जहां पर एक लेफ्ट लिस्ट होगी और एक राइट लिस्ट होगी. बेसिकली ये भी डिवाइड एंड कॉन्कर मेथोडोलॉजी पर बेस्ड होती है, जहां पर आपको ये पाइवट मिल गया तो आपको एक लिस्ट यहाँ छोटी मिल गई, इसमें भी आपने एक पाइवट असाइन कर दिया. एक और लिस्ट मिल गई, इसमें भी आपको पाइवट असाइन कर दिया, या और लिस्ट मिलती चली जाएंगी. तो एवरी टाइम वी आर ट्राइंग टू स्प्लिट अवर लिस्ट इनटू 2 पार्ट्स, and for the best case we assume that we split it into 2 equal parts, but this is not true in all cases, but we assume that it equals into 2 equal parts. So this splitting, जैसा कि हमने बाइनरी सर्च में सीखा, that takes the complexity of log base 2n, but this particular procedure runs for n time because आपको सारे एलिमेंट्स को पाइवट एलिमेंट बनाना है और उनकी पोजीशन फाइंड आउट करना है. तो इसको रन करना पड़ेगा n टाइम्स तक. तो ये जो टाइम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी आती है क्विक शॉर्ट की, वो आती है बिग ऑफ n log. So this is the quick short, and this is simple example. This simply I was explaining. तो जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं, इसको मैंने पाइवट बनाया. पाइवट कंपेरिजन में जैसे ये बीच में आया तो इसके 2 टुकड़े हो गए इस लिस्ट के. एक लिस्ट जो इससे छोटे एलिमेंट की है, दूसरी लिस्ट जो इससे बड़े एलिमेंट की है. फिर इस लिस्ट पे हमने वही क्विक शॉर्ट कॉल किया. फिर हमने 1 को पाइवट बनाया, या हमने 6 को पाइवट बनाया, तो इससे फिर 2 टुकड़े कर दिए. इस तरीके से ये टुकड़े होते चले जाएंगे. और फाइनली अगर आप यहाँ नीचे देखेंगे स्लीप नोट पे, तो आपके सारे नोट्स अरेंज मिलेंगे -6, -3, 1, 2, 5, 6, 8 and 9. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. So that's how you got all the element arranged in a sorted way. So this is it. These are the basic techniques that we have to discuss. Today we have discussed 2 popular searching techniques, linear search and binary search. We also make a comparison between them. So linear search is of linear order, binary search is of binary order. Like give you a log base complexity, or I should call it log base to n complexity. And sorting, we have seen insertion and we have seen quick sort. Insertion gives you a quadratic complexity, but a quick sort will give you a linear logarithmic complexity where the complexity is given by n log n. So quick sort is better than insertion. Similarly, the binary search is better than linear search in terms of time complexity we consider. So now let's see how we can like implement these things in our Python notebook and how we can drive the solutions by using them. So like first we will look the linear search. So we have a list. We call it as a num. You can see 3, 5, 4, 1, 9, 10, 54, 2, 6, 8. These are the numbers that we are keeping in the list. And this is the key parameter that we are asking from the users who input. And here I have defined this linear function. So it is clearly, you can see, I have defined it exactly in the same way that we have studied the pseudocode. So we have to iterate from every element and we make a comparison of that element to the key element. If the element is found, we will return the index position by +1. Otherwise, we will return element is not found in the list. This is the message. So when you like make a run of this particular code, let's suppose I enter 100 and 1000, and you know 1000 is not present in the list. So you see element is not found in the list. So this particular message you got printed out. Let's make another run of this particular code. And this time we are searching 5. You can see 5 is present at the location of 3rd. Now there can be a situation where 5 can comes multiple times. So it always gives you the very first occurrence of the item. Now let's look what the binary search is. So we talked about the binary search. In the binary search, we calculate the mid element. You know that. So we created this function binary search that comes with 4 parameters: list, the left index, the right index, and the key element X. Now this particular procedure will be called until the right index is greater than the left index, or it is equal to. Once it is become less, the search cannot be possible and you have to return -1. So first you calculate the mid index and then you make these 3 comparisons which we were discussing. If the mid is equal to the search item X, we can directly return it, the index position. If it is greater than, then we will look for the right half. If it is less than, then we will look for the left half. Let's try to make the run of this particular code. So this is your list, and now I'm interested to find 3 in this. So you see the element 3 is present on the 3rd location. It is clearly, and this is how the binary search works. Now, as we have discussed that we can actually use binary search tree to organize this binary search procedure. So here we create a binary search tree data structure. I'm leaving this for you because once I uploaded, you can go through with this. Yesterday we talked about like how we can create trees, how we can insert in tree, how we can delete from the tree. So similarly, this is the same kind of patterns that we are trying to achieve in this binary tree. The only thing which is extra is that every time when you go for the insertion will take place on the pattern of sorted data, or like I say, on the pattern of binary search tree pattern. So like if you consider, let's suppose you have some set of elements, and now I ask you to insert those in binary tree. So you very first you make the root 2. Okay. Now next element that you insert is 3. So because 3 is greater than 2, so you insert it on the right side of the 2. The next element is 4, so you first compare it with 2 because it is greater than 2, so you move on to the left side, right side. Then again you make the comparison with 3 because it is also greater than 3, so you again move to the right side and insert it here. Then you find 1. So whenever you make a comparison with the root 2, it is the smaller, then so you can insert it on the left side. Then when you go to insert 5, you make a comparison with 2, which because it is greater, so you move on the right. 3, because it is again larger, so you again move on to the right. And then 4, again it is larger, so you make on to the right side. That's how you can create a binary search tree for these set of elements. So once you start like finding the items, you can find those items again in log-based tools. So based on this pattern, basically we have created this code, and once you go through it, you will understand that how it is changing. And this is the code of insertion sort, which we have made for you. Like we have this list array. We call it as an array that comprises some set of numbers like 9, 4, 3, 6, 1, 3, 5, 7, 10. You can also take user input to do that, but we have predefined them. So this is the exact code which I have written in the pseudocode format. First, I have made a one loop which started from I, is from 0 to the length of the array. Then I make another like loop which is started from one step ahead, that is j equal to 2, and that goes, I can remove this particular loop. I really do not need it. Rather, I will make a function. And let's see to run it. You can see that it is sorting your list. So that's how we can get the sorted form of the list by implementing the answer sort. The quick sort is I'm leaving you as an assignment where you can implement it. Occurrence of an element, then what we can do? So we can like go back to your linear search. Okay. And let me copy this particular code. And let me insert another code cell here. Okay, and here we are defining the function which we are calling frequency. Now again, this will take two arguments. One is the list and second is the item for which we need to find out the frequency. So instead of printing out this, what you can do, you can initialize one variable with 0, and every time when you find this particular parameter in the key, what you just do is just make this increment of this particular variable. So count has become count plus 1. Now because we need to traverse the whole list, so let's remove this return statement. We should also remove this print statement. All what we need to return is the value of count. So this become your function which will give you the frequency of any item in the list. So let's try to run it. Let's make some changes, like here I'm making a change 3. Here also I'm making a change 3. So let's give input 3 and let's look. You can see the 3 is appeared 3 times. That's how you can make a function which will count the number of times a particular element appeared in the list, or this is simply a frequency count of each element. So I hope this is clear to all. So this is all about searching and sorting, guys. I hope the concepts are clear.